Yo! Welcome back, Wolf Gang. This is the Fantasy Fixtures Podcast, and I'm your host, Winston Wolf. If you're new to the channel, smash the sub button. There'll be a giveaway at 100 subs, and we're almost there. You must have Cash App or PayPal to enter. Let's get straight to it. I think it's safe to say if we could do all of our drafts over again, we would. I always view myself as a tight end whisperer. For as far back as I can remember, I would stream tight ends every year until I found the right one. My logic is you're almost guaranteed to have a top 12 tight end because most people don't carry two. This season, finding a good tight end is like finding a landmine with a present on top. It looks nice. Hey, why would someone leave a present in the middle of the jungle? This nicely wrapped tight end got you 0 points. Which brings us to our first struggling player, Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. For starters, how do you put up the same stat line in back-to-back weeks, 2 for 19? You can't sell him because you're going to get super low ball, but you have to pivot for a week because you can't take another pitiful performance for 3 weeks in a row. Just look at the tight end landscape. There's only one tight end that has multiple TDs on the year, and you couldn't guess the name if I gave you time to Google it. Oh, you think you can? What's the name? Wrong. It's OJ Howard. And that came from one game, 3 targets, 2 TDs. Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews are the only tight ends that are getting 75 yards a game. You're supposed to play your star players in fantasy, but after 2 kicks in the junk type of performances, I want you to take a detour and go grab Irv Smith Jr. of the Vikings. In the game against the Eagles, he came away with 10 targets. I wouldn't play Pitts until he shows me that he can get double digits points per week. Next up is my guy, King Henry. All of the red flags were there. The usage, his age, his offensive line, losing A.J. Brown. But I neglected to account for these things because I'm a homer. I love him. I don't own him in any leagues, but I'm rooting for him. I don't think this is his skill diminishing or he lost a step. I think it comes down to the offensive line being trash and they have no real threat at wide receiver. So why would a linebacker care about a play action when Robert Woods is your best wide receiver on paper? Treylon Burks has all the measurables to be A.J. Brown Jr., and this is why they felt comfortable in trading A.J. Brown, but he's not ready, which is rather discouraging because most of the rookie wide receivers from the first round are getting busy right now. You got Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Jahan Dotson. And Treylon Burks just isn't seen in the same light as these guys right now. But I think this week is a get-right game for Henry against the Raiders this weekend. This is another player you simply can't trade because his value is too low right now. You can only wait it out and hope their scheme changes or gets better, and he gets to see less than 11 in the box. He's seen the league highest rate of 8 or more in the box thus far this season. I honestly think they should throw him the ball more. Like, the guy can actually catch. But teams know this. That's not even in their playbook. They might as well be playing Tecmo Bowl with 4 plays right now. All you can do is stand pat and hope that he can turn it around before your fantasy season is over. You just can't afford to have your first round draft pick getting 8 points a game. My hand is bleeding from hitting the panic button so much for this entire team. Yeah, you guessed it. The Chicago Bears. Other than David Montgomery, you can release all of them through the moon door. Cole Kmet and Troy Aikman have the same amount of points right now. Darnell Mooney should have been released before this week's waivers. Don't wait another week, it's over. Justin Fields has passed the ball 28 times in 2 games. This is a coaching staff that has no faith in their QB or their team. And I know most people don't want to count the first game when they were playing in a monsoon, but what about against the Packers when they trailed before they got into the stadium? It was no sense of urgency or fight for that matter in the game. They looked like a team that couldn't wait to get home to play 2K23. Drop everyone excluding Montgomery because this is a running team no matter what the score is. Up to the next guy we have, Decaf Metcalf. Why did you draft him? Size, strength, abs, or is it the fact that he's sexually attracted to candy? None of that matters. Geno Smith is the QB for the foreseeable future, and Geno won't lose his job by creating ample turnovers. He's not taking any risks. He's not throwing jump balls up for DK. Geno Smith is a placeholder until you draft the franchise QB. He's the broken big TV that the nice TV is sitting on at your grandmother's house. Trade DK for courtside seats at a Seattle Supersonics game. Whatever you can trade him for, do it, because you will never know when to start him. Next on the docket is Ezekiel Elliott. The Cowboys' offensive line just isn't the Great Wall of China anymore. What was once Dallas's advantage is slowly starting to be its detriment. Last season, Zeke was 45th in broken and missed tackles forced last season. He had 16 broken tackles, over 237 carries. That's less than one broken tackle a game. Zeke was the second worst player in elusive rating amongst rushers that had 70 plus carries. So now this is the worst that the line has ever looked, and the running back behind him looks better and is more agile. If you could trade Zeke for a trapper keeper, you should do so. This is a sell low player. Next man up is Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Volume over everything. This had to be your mindset when drafting Najee. He's a 3-down back with elite usage. He averaged 22 touches a game last season. He was second on the team in catches and had 94 targets in 2021. So most experts would disregard the fact that his offensive line is worse than what he had last season, and they were losing Big Ben. Now don't get me wrong, Big Ben was trash, but had no problem checking the ball down to Najee. Najee had one game with 19 targets. Not even sure how that's possible. Trivia time. What player has the most targets in an NFL game? "28 targets by Brandon Marshall in 2009. It's a little gee whiz. In week 1, Najee had 12 touches, but he left the game with an ankle injury. Week 2, he played 71% of the snaps while getting 20 touches for a total of 99 yards, which is a solid showing, but the TDs will be few and far in between because I think Mitch Trubisky is a downgrade from 67-year-old Big Ben. The Steelers have 4 pass attempts and 5 rushing attempts in the red zone in 2 games. To put that into perspective, Trevor Lawrence has 13 pass attempts in the red zone, which is triple that number. This won't be a good offense in real life or fantasy, and the Wolves will become calling for Kenny Pickett very soon, even if Tomlin wants to sit him for the entire season. You can't move Najee Harris. He was your first pick. All you can do is start him and hope Mitch can at least check the ball down 6 to 7 times a game. All right, I saved the GOAT for last. Terrific Tom Brady. 3 things you shouldn't do in life. Get drunk and try to fart real loud. Number 2, buy your kid loud toys. I can't tell you how many times I've thrown fire trucks into the bathtub just to shut that thing up. Number 3, bet against Tom Brady. I am a Tom Brady truther. He has been my go-to for years because you could always get him late in the draft, and he's going to be a top 5 to 7 QB every year. I jumped off the wagon when I seen this pick. There's 2 things in life that'll make you this stressed: money and women. And I think Giselle is giving him hell. But as far as fantasy is concerned, you're not going to drop the GOAT, but you have to pivot. With the state of his receiving core all being hurt, Mike Evans being suspended. Hey, you can talk trash to Mike all day, but if you mess with his QBs, he will fight you like you tried to break in his house without a weapon and wearing sandals. Everyone is non-threatened when they have on sandals. Just think about it. You've never seen someone fight with these socks and sandals on. Now, if Brady's receivers are Scotty Miller and Brashard Perriman, I want no parts of them this week. You're going to have to about face and get a different QB until Brady gets all his weapons back. And who knows when that's going to happen, because Godwin hasn't practiced yet. Julio is out. All you can do is get one of these guys off the waiver wire and cross your fingers, because both have good matchups if you go after a guy like Wentz or Tua. I think these guys are in trouble this week. In conclusion, this is what you should do with these struggling players. If you have any start or sit questions or anything pertaining to fantasy, drop them in the comments and I'll be sure to answer. Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Pictures. I'm out.